And we now want to bring in Republican Congressman Greg Murphy of North Carolina to further discuss the latest on the virus pandemic. Hi, Congressman. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so getting right into it, President Trump announced a three-phase approach yesterday to slowly reopen the economy. Now, you made a similar call earlier this week to open some businesses with conditions, of course. You're a medical doctor yourself, as well as a lawmaker. Do you think the president's new guidelines are appropriate to implement at this point in the pandemic?
I do. This has been a learning process. We have had so much information now that's come from other countries, that's come from our own countries. We're looking at the medical aspect, the virus, how it affects us. But then there's a lot of built-up frustration. There's a lot of anxiety on the economy itself. People are staying at home. They want to get back to their businesses. So I think learning from what we have around the world and in this country and adapting that back to business, the time is now.
Well, then to follow up on that, earlier, like I mentioned, the president went and tweeted a quote. These are direct quotes: "Liberate Michigan, liberate Minnesota, liberate Virginia," appearing to call for those stay-at-home orders to be pulled back. And we've seen some protests popping up across the nation. Some of these protests clearly violating social distancing guidelines from the pictures and video we've seen. Are they possibly putting people at risk, in your professional health opinion?
Well, I think it's a robust debate. There is science behind the fact that social distancing has helped us blunt the effect of the virus, helped us flatten the curve. So, you want to also, by all means, celebrate the First Amendment. It's what makes America great, and one of the many things. But we ask also that people just, listen a little bit about what their science says. Folks really usually tend to listen to what a doctor says, and this is no different. Our physicians, our national leaders as physicians are telling us to do this. So by all means, I think it's the right thing to do.
So would you say you agree with the president's tweets on that?
Well, I think there is time. I think it is appropriate now that certain measures should be taken to help loosen up the economy and to free us out from our homes. Again, I made this very clear on Monday, what I thought were appropriate measures. So I think the time is right.
And then we did see some protests in North Carolina this week against Governor Roy Cooper's stay-at-home orders. Now, one woman was arrested, we saw, at one of these protests. Do you think Cooper's measures are excessive, borderline unconstitutional?
No, I think that what was done was an important measure for our state. But I think moving forward, I think the time, as I said, is now, that some of these restrictions need to be lifted. This was a national emergency. The president declared that. And so moving the restrictions back a bit, I think, is an appropriate thing. The governor is charged with the health and welfare of the state, and he did as he saw fit. But I'm urging, folks that are at the state level to consider new measures as we progress to next week.
Well, then, from the folks you've been able to communicate with amid these orders, aside from the folks we're also seeing protesting these stay-at-home orders, do you feel that people are being receptive and they're understanding of the situation and willing to continue to abide by these rules?
I think the vast majority of individuals are. There's been a lot of education that's gone on over the last 2 months, people understanding what the virus is, how it affects people, and how we best can deal with the virus. And I think, the vast majority of individuals, there's frustration by all means. There's frustration from everything. But I think the vast majority of individuals understand the gravity of the situation that we're dealing with, and that certain measures are needed to help us get on the other side of the curve and help us get back to some semblance of normalcy.
All right. Congressman Greg Murphy of North Carolina speaking with us today about how his state is handling the outbreak of coronavirus. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Stay safe.
You too.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One American News on YouTube. And call your cable provider and kindly demand that One American News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.